Forget it.
The FlameCast!
Hey, good afternoon, Windy.
How you doing, Tobor? Welcome.
Welcome everyone to FlameCast number 2. Second
FlameCast
one ever.
2. We made it. We weren't thrown from the internet.
We did it.
Here we are.
Yeah, we'll see you guys later. It's been fun.
Yeah, job done. See you later.
Yeah. So
Right. Okay.
we'll be our guides through the dark and terrifying straights and narrows of our lives.
The ebbs and flows of life, yes.
Yeah.
We shall bring you entertainment, ladies and gentlemen.
And game
Right.
development in general.
So what have
Indeed.
you been up to then, Tobor?
So I took a page out of your book without permission. and I
Tore it.
yeah. Well, you'd been doing these monthly little bite-sized arcade kind of games.
I have, Tobor, that's correct. And they
Yeah.
are all available now on my Patreon.
All of them, yeah. In one tidy package. But I wanted to kind of do the same thing because I've been, I don't know, hating life a little bit, working on Savage. Every now and again. Every now and again. But that sounded like such a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, it definitely is.
And so that's I decided to crack something open and start fiddling around with it, and it's a little you can't really get any more basic than a Pac-Man clone. So that's kind of what I've been working on.
Depends what you do with it, I suppose.
Yeah. Or I guess you could do Pong or something, but
Yeah.
I decided to spice it up a little bit, go a little crazy.
Yeah, well, I did get the honor of seeing a little bit of it. It does look damn good.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it falls within the theme of the Japanese live action sci-fi
Yep.
show, like Ultraman or so it's like Pac-Man, but you're a Power Ranger looking guy that fights giant monsters. So
Awesome. Sounds good. No, I think it's a great thing to do. I do think it's a good thing to do, and I think more people should do it, especially if they're working on like a major project. Because when you're 3, 6, 9 months in, and you're just staring down the barrel of another 6 months or whatever, it can really start to weigh on you. And I don't think people realise just how hard it can be to make a full game. I'm not talking about just smaller games or prototypes, but to make a full game.
yeah,
The energy, because we discussed this last time, how most of it's just drawing rocks. We said this. So when you can make an entire game in the space of time, you'd usually design 20 rocks. It sort of gives you a boost. Makes you remember that you can make a game and it's fun.
yeah, you can finish something and just kind of wrap it up and you don't get that. Well, I haven't gotten that catharsis in 6 years.
So there you go, man.
It's just,
There you go. And
dangling
I'm
off the
glad
ledge by your fingertips for that long.
I'm
I
glad
think.
I'm glad you're getting it, because it's nice as well. Like I do my Shigeru games. which
Yes,
you are.
and I got to play all of them.
Yeah. So what I do is I make my games. So I'm working on a game 6, 9 months, a year, whatever, and then every now and then I'll just go on a crazy 4 or 5 hour binge and create a tiny little arcadey silly game where you play as Shigeru Miyamoto, who is the legend and godfather of all video games.
Right.
And the latest one where you take him on a lovely evening fishing trip, just to soothe his aging bones.
Yeah. What
And
is
it's
it?
fun for me.
What is it called?
It's called Super Hook Line Shigeru.
Super. Yeah.
Yeah, super. It's
Line
always super. You gotta have
Shigeru.
super. Yeah, Shigeru. But
Yeah.
he's.
You slap his fun little face on the character in
And I
there.
think not only is it good for me and good for yourself to do the same thing, it's also great for the small audiences that we have, because you're like, here, check this out. This is just something I made. It's a bit of fun, and people enjoy them. It's always fun to see people competing for high scores in, super up Shigeru. Things like that.
Is there a leaderboard for those? Or are they actually like hooked up to a?
Sadly not. I
Okay.
keep meaning to make like a leaderboard widget, so I can just drop it in. Because to
Rip
create a leaderboard
simplicity.
system- Yeah, exactly. That's the thing I like about these games is I literally just work with reckless abandon. You know, there's the concern, all the normal concerns are gone. You know, just go at it and have fun and bang.
No pressure.
Yeah, so to create an online leaderboard system is a bit intense sometimes for what I'm trying to achieve with them. But it'd be nice to make one and then just drop it in, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And I got to do that a little bit. I mean, in addition to trying to do the maze game, which it might be a little more ambitious than, you know. I mean, the goal with these little things for me is to crack it open for a few hours a week, like over a weekend, and then take like a month and some change maybe, and then wind up with something that's, you know, I wouldn't mind charging, you know, a couple bucks on Steam for or something.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's kind of similar to what I did with Puzzle Plunder.
Yeah.
I made that whilst making, I couldn't even tell you now.
And Puzzle Plunder is free.
Puzzle Plunder is free,
right?
yeah.
And then you have
Plunder
a
was an
support the dev version where you actually can pay for it, and it's optional. Right?
That was the experiment, you see.
Yeah.
Because I thought to myself, well, I keep making all these games, and I've had fluctuating prices and stuff, and I do my discounts. And I thought, what would happen if you put out a game for free with like a support the developer DLC for like $2? You know, see what happens with that. I'll give you the answer. Fuck all.
Like most things.
A few people have, but when you look at the ratios of DLC to downloads, it's bad. People will take for free if you can give it for free. They don't, you know, most people don't give a damn. So
right.
It's tricky.
Yeah, that's a. I mean, I chatted with you a little bit about this. Is what I should do with these smaller games when I'm done with them. And whether I should put them behind some kind of a paywall, like that's some kind of
that's fair.
Evil thing.
It's a fair thing to do. The thing is that the way I look at it as, right, if we're talking two sides of this, creatively and then business-wise, if you're talking creatively, you want people to play them.
Yeah, that's true.
And if they're small, then I don't know. It comes down to what you think, the value of a sale versus the value of brand awareness.
Yeah,
and
getting it
like
out there and having some fun and
because will it filter into your other
it.
games? Will people follow your other stuff? Will people sub to your Patreon if you're putting free games on there? You know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they might not. You know, so it's. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to it.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think you just have to kind of experiment, maybe.
Yeah.
Like what you did with Puzzle Plunder.
Don't do
but
that.
regardless, it felt amazing. Yeah.
don't do that one. That was. But I'm still happy it's out there. You know what I mean? It's good to say to people. You know, when you're chatting to people and they're like, "What games you got?" You got, "Oh, I've got this one, this one, this one, this one. Oh, and I've got this one also for free." Then people go, "Okay, well, I might as well check that out. I've got nothing to lose."
Yeah.
You know, so and then that can often lead to people going, "Oh, what else you done?" And plus, because it's a free game, I've got little adverts in there for my own stuff. You know, saying, "Oh, check out my games. Check out this." You know.
Yeah. Yeah, and then at the same time too, I guess you don't want to devalue your work at all either.
No.
You know what I mean? And I'm kind of sick of doing stuff for years and not charging for it or not.
No, I agree.
I mean, it's not just like, oh, I haven't made any money and people are stupid. So, and that's why I haven't made any money. It's like you put something out there that has value and people want it, and then they'll buy it. But
yeah,
so I don't want to sound like I, you know, like, oh, everyone in the world owes me something. It's like, no, it's not that. It's just I haven't really hit on anything that.
I get what you're saying 100%. It's a cruel industry in that regard because I think it's like any creative entertainment or media industry, you know, because
so many people work for exposure.
There's all the exposure thing. There's a lot of people working purely to build community and then they'll exploit that later. Yeah. There's loads of people who are doing
they'll drop a huge Kickstarter after they've got, you know, 50,000 subs on YouTube or something or
that's it. Exactly. Yeah. And then you've got the people who are doing it as a hobby. So they they don't care if they make money, but they're still there as competition. So it's really tricky to really get a foothold, especially considering essentially in the indie scene, it seems at the moment anyway, most of the big indie hits are far, far bigger than what an indie is, in my opinion, just generally. Generally, you see these games that, you know, they're sort of miraculous in their development, and you think, wow, you know, that's a big game for an indie, you know. But that's just the way it goes. I see things like Rocket League with an indie tag on it. You just think,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Things like that. And you just think,
Hellblade was marketed that way.
Yeah,
big time. It's like the AAA indie experience. It's like...
Yeah, it only cost like 26 million and had like 32 people working in offices.
Well, that whole thing kind of rubs me the wrong way too. Is the same thing happened to music, like, you know, probably over a decade ago now, where it was like, oh, indie bands. It's like now it to a point it just meant like they had a banjo in there somewhere. Yeah, you know, or an accordion. It's but it was still backed by you know, like big producers and whatever else. Yeah. Now it's kind of the same thing. I feel like indie is more of a.
It's like a brand thing.
It
doesn't. I've said this for quite a while now, probably a couple of years.
Quirky.
That there is no real indie thing. It's everyone. So you are essentially competing with the biggest games, the biggest, you know, no matter what you're making.
Now, it's like a flavor more so, or it's like I'm looking for a certain type of experience, and I'll. It doesn't quite necessarily mean the perception, at least. Yes. It doesn't quite mean somebody who's doing something independently.
Yeah, exactly. And I think video games, especially indie games, anyway, they're going to go down the, and this will probably link in to something else we want to discuss a bit later. But I do think that indie games are going to become much like an artisanal product. Yeah. Like people will buy them because there's a person behind it. You know, rather than an organization or a company or whatever, there is a person, maybe two people, and it'll all be about that, I think. Yeah. Because once we start hitting these subscription models, indies are just going to die off fast, in my opinion. I don't know how they're going to survive. So it will still be indies selling their games for a price and AAA games for free on a subscription, and that's going to be the business. It's going to be God knows what's going to happen there.
Yeah, and at the same time too, it's like, are you really necessarily competing with that? You're kind of offering something different.
You are, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's the guy who's pissed off that he can't own his software anymore might go looking for something else. I mean, and in that capacity, I guess you are competing, because it's like this game is doing something that I don't like, so I'm going to go look for, you know, another game that's falls more in line with almost like a value system instead of a which game is better, you know.
The state of competition is not just in creativity; it's also in engagement, isn't it? So if 95% of the entire gaming world's playing 24 hours of Fortnite a day, that leaves you with 5% of the gaming audience spread out amongst the other games. And I think that's where the high-level competition comes in, rather than sort of which game is better. You've also got that issue of people have so much in a day. And only so much time to play games, you know. So that's the thing. The more games there are, the more that time's spread out, you know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I guess it is an awareness thing, huh?
Yeah, but it's the same old struggle. It'll always be the same. There'll always be an indie apocalypse looming. You know what I mean? There always has been.
Yeah, I don't like those sort of broad sweeping concepts, because it's like one isn't the other. I think that's the best thing that you can do is like what you said, framing it in an artisanal a frame.
Yeah, you got to do you and make it so that people know when they look. Like that's one of the main things that I've always wanted to be, is that when someone looks at my games, if they've seen any of my games, they know it's my game just by looking at it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you know? Same here, man. You know who's done a really good job of that is Butterscotch Shenanigans, the Crashlands guys. Yeah. And you know exactly what you're going to get with those guys.
With the Behemoth, with Castle Crashers and Alien Hominid.
Yeah, them too, yeah.
As soon as you even see it, you know it's theirs. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always wanted that too. Something that screams me.
Just love me. That's it.
Yeah. Help.
But no, definitely, man. It's a tricky old game. It's a tricky old game. This whole dream of make a game and everyone comes running. You know, that's never the case.
Yeah, I've always looked at it more of in the sense of a comics artist or an artist. You know, it's you know what that person does and you want more of it.
Yeah, and I think there's two routes. There's 99.9% of people who are struggling and just trying to carve out a living and trying to stay above water, and that's their business.
Yeah.
And on the other side, you've got people earning £20 million a day. You know, that's the two routes. Same with music, isn't it? You know, you get those that are doing stadiums, and you get everyone else who's busking and doing pubs. You know, there's it, and the I suppose the technical skill between the two doesn't necessarily equate to their position. It's just right song, right time, right place. Probably a very good song, but it just happened at that perfect time. You know.
Yeah.
But you can still make a living. You can still make a living making games. You just got to, you know, I think even I've been guilty of it as well, a lot of forgetting that it is a business. You know, that's where it gets really tricky.
Yeah, same. Yeah. If I really was more savvy in that capacity, Savage would have been done already. You know, it probably wouldn't be as interesting. I mean, it definitely wouldn't be, but yeah, it would be out, and it would be have a beginning and an end. And
but you're saying this, you don't know yet. You wait. This FlameCast could end at like episode 6 because Tobor's earning 20 million a day. You know.
See ya.
You know? See you later, Windy. You loser.
Sailing off into the Caribbean.
Hello, Tobor. Hello. Help me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else then? What apart from this spiral of despair? Where else have we been going?
No, it's good. It's good. The nitty gritty, down in the trenches.
Yeah.
Not knowing where the next bullet will land. You did you have a game jam pending.
I do, Egg Jam too, yeah.
And I participated in that. And that's what kind of kicked this whole thing off for me, flexing my muscles outside of the behemoth that is Savage. I mean, a behemoth to me, of course. To another studio or to another creator, it'd be like, yeah, whatever, we can bang that out in a couple of years, and especially for people that know what they're doing. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm learning as I go. but being able to do the Egg Jam that you put together, that's what kind of kicked all this off. Is I took about 5 hours to throw something together as fast as I could with damn the consequences. Just get something on the screen, draw a little guy, put it in there, do a sound effect. Okay, that's fine, passable. Go, keep going. It was fantastic.
Nice. Oh, good. Yeah, no, I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's nice. It's I think we spoke about it last week. I can't remember. It's just for anyone who doesn't know, it's like a game jam that I run through my stream and Discord, and it's 4 hours, 4 to 5 hours, something like that. Make a stupid, amusing game, whatever. It's just about having a laugh, and whoever makes the funniest game, whatever, then they win a prize. That's it. But it's good because it gets people, especially around my community. People are busy. People are working.
Yes.
So it's nice to be able to just bang something out in 4 hours, and it doesn't matter if it's crap, because if it's crap, it might be funny, and if it's funny, it wins. It's just and that's in the 13th.
That's the first game jam that I've ever participated in. Really. I did a piece of music for Games Plus James. You know him.
Oh yes.
Once upon a time, and it was just like, hey, I'll bang out a piece of music for you, but to be able to do a game like something that has a win state and a lose state.
Yeah, it's tricky
in such short order.
I always struggle with the big jams personally because I work on games Monday to Friday, usually Saturday and Sunday as well. And if I have 3 or 4 days to work solidly on a game, if I'm not working on my game, I'm going to feel a bit sort of regretful. I'll think, oh God, I could have designed another 100 rocks.
Guilty, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's where it gets me.
I could have had blue rocks.
Yeah, exactly. But I suppose there's a lot of networking and a lot of good connections to make doing jams. Something I'm missing out on, and I know that.
Me too. Same.
Yeah. But hey, that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, the networking aspect of all of this is something that and it's like everybody that makes games at our level and is also a content creator. Anyone who streams or does YouTube or anything, everyone kind of seems to have these jam things.
Oh yeah, all the time, yeah.
And I'm feeling like a Dickensian orphan out in the street. I don't have a jam.
I held
Please,
off for
sir.
so long because for that exact reason, I was saying everyone's doing jams. I'm not going to do a jam. I'm not going to do one. And then Egg Jam 1 was essentially forced upon me.
Yeah.
It wasn't something I decided to just do. I think I had about 4 people just endlessly asking. So I was like, all right, sod it, let's do it. Egg Jam. And
Give the people what they want.
Yeah, well, that's it. I just thought, well, if these people want to do it, let's do it. Let's,
Yeah.
And then the winner gets a prize, and it was fun, you know. And then I thought, and then everyone was asking for another one, and it looks like a lot more entries in this one as well.
Well, it's about the right speed too. Like you said, 4 to 5 hours. It's like, what, you know, I could spend that time in my underpants on the couch watching cat videos, or I could make a fun little, you know, goofy thing. Yeah. That actually feels good to finish.
Yeah, you don't. It's not about, you know, trying to get people, because that's one of the things that bugs me about Ludum Dare is the endless fallout of please check out and vote for my game, you know, that comes with it. And
yeah, that doesn't appeal to me at all. It's like now you've got this extra weird layer of timed stress.
Yeah, you don't need that.
In addition to everything else that you're trying to do day to day or whatever.
Yeah, but I bet it's good. I keep meaning to do. I'll do one year, but I'll be God knows what part of a team. I wouldn't do it all on my own. I haven't got the energy for that anymore. You know, rapidly advancing years and all that.
Might pull something.
As you can see, look.
You know
what I mean? You know, that's game development, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah, this and my back and my shoulder. Yeah, all kinds of new and exciting aches and pains I've discovered from doing this.
It's so much fun. So much fun. But where we get back to where were we?
Our sanity check. What you've been doing, what I've been doing, and indie games. In general, the business, the trials, the triumphs, and then we've also found a little bit of time to actually play some stuff. That being Hat in Time. We were talking about 3D platformers a little bit a while ago, and like, where have all the good ones gone? And then Hat in Time came up, and
we thought it'd be a good idea to cover a game on each FlameCast. We'll pick a game and have a go at it. And I think Hat in Time's a good one. Something I've been meaning to play for a long time, and if I've got a purpose, then I'll definitely play it. You know.
Yeah, I've been eyeballing that one from afar for quite a while.
Yeah, because I did play Ukulele, which I was more excited for. I didn't really care for Hat in Time. I was like, Hat in Time, it looks good, but I'm waiting for Ukulele because
Hat in Time does not present well. Like if you're just looking at the screenshots, it's like,
it's a weird one.
Yeah,
it's a weird one. I give it that. Like Ukulele, I think's easier to, especially if like me of my age, because I was a massive Rare fan. So I was thinking, it's the old buddy duo platformer made by former Rare employees. This is going to be fantastic,
and it looks good too. Like it just visually it looks nice.
Yeah, it's far superior visually to a Hat in Time. But I think when it comes down to it, I think Hat in Time actually beats it personally. I would say.
All I've heard is negative stuff about Ukulele too.
Yeah, that's only because of these bloody drama queens all over.
A lot of it I don't really believe. I'm like,
nah, it's all rubbish.
Do you guys remember what the old games felt like or played like?
Yeah. But no, Yuka's good, but I wouldn't believe most of the stuff you hear or read about it. It's just not as good as the originals. You know, it's not as good as Banjo, I don't think.
Yeah, and that's a genre that I've adored ever since Mario 64. Pretty much.
And I think a lot of the glory of Banjo and Mario was its restrictions. So there's been this modern push, and this is also one of my issues with Hat in Time, for the worlds to be bigger and bigger and bigger and more complicated, and it actually ruins the levels, I think. Like retrospectively, if you play something like Banjo-Kazooie and you think about all the levels are almost the same. It's a circular arena with a pinnacle in the middle.
Yeah.
And it's all based around that. Even if it's not in the middle, it's going downwards instead of upwards. You know, Clanker's Cavern was like a deep pit in the water, you know.
Yeah, so for the most part, you could see the entire playfield.
Yeah, from different angles. And the levels were cut up into like quarters, and each quarter had a different thing to do. So you sort of knew what you was doing before you was even doing it.
Yeah.
Whereas I find
there was a visual flow to those games and an immediate expectation going in. It's like, I'm going to climb that. I'm going to slide down. I'm going to double jump off that and wall jump up to victory.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but Hat in Time, I thought it was really good. The way the character moves is awesome.
Oh,
Took a little while
it's
getting used
gorgeous.
to.
I wasn't expecting it. I was like, this
Nah, not
feels
that
like
nice.
silk.
Yeah, it was so good, and I think they nailed that. That's probably why one of the reasons the game's done so well is because that is almost like 60% of the gameplay, if not more, is how that character feels, how crisp those movements are.
Yeah, for a few minutes, I just kind of you start out in a ship, spaceship or whatever, and that's kind of your hub, right? And that's how you access. It's your castle in Mario 64, and that's how you unlock all the different levels and stuff. And I probably spent a good 5 minutes just kind of running around in circles and kind of bouncing around and just looking at the animation. And there's a real joy of motion in there that a lot of 3D bigger budget action titles just can't seem to, or they just don't care about. It's not really in the.
No, I agree.
In the
way you run up
list.
walls, sliding about, climbing up, jumping, flipping, wall running, and all this. It's the way it's done. It's sort of like almost like one of these, like sort of like the Prince of Persia remakes. The way everything was so sort of well defined when you're running walls and jumping off, and it just feels really clean, and I like that. I like that.
Yeah,
think,
a good combination of the responsiveness, the character animation, and the immediacy of it all. But it's all very smooth, and then the way that the area is designed. It's like you can tell exactly what's a thing that you can sort of interact with, or what's a solid,
Yeah.
Makes it more satisfying when you actually pull something off.
Yeah, it's got more of that Super Mario World vibe where. You go back into the same level over and over, but each time it's slightly different. Things are slightly changed. I don't know how far you got into it. How far did you get?
I played through the first world. Yeah. So Mafia Town, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, nice.
I
got a bit further than that.
Beat the first boss. And the soundtrack, too, when you fight the first boss, the music just kicks off. And it's like, oh my God, now here we go.
Yeah. With the metal, it was great. With the guitar coming,
but it was like a good solid riff and everything, and it communicated the energy of the fight and everything. It was actually kind of challenging too, so I was
it was really good.
Pretty pleased with it. A lot of the game is pretty easy, which I mean, I guess you kind of want. I mean, it's the first level, first world, so, and I bet the challenge sort of ramps up. But that made me excited to play more of it. Was that boss fight? And I was like, oh, I bet stuff's gonna get a little dicier later on.
Yeah. I got a bit further. I got to, I think it was the fourth world.
Oh Jesus!
So I went.
Damn.
I got hooked, man. I love 3D platforms, and I was in heaven collecting stuff.
I haven't been doing my homework.
But no, it's good. It's good. I would recommend it to anyone. I think it's 50% off at the moment as well, which is always a bonus. So.
Yeah, I think it actually is on Steam. It's half off for I think a couple more days.
Yeah, I think the worlds were good. I think it also suffered from this. This is another thing I've noticed, both with Yuka and Hat in Time, is it looks like they spent more time and budget on the first world, and then thought, oh shit, we're running out of time and money here. We're gonna have to. It happens. You see it every single time. You know what I mean? And it's quite noticeable. I think.
I bet my game is going to have that too. I can feel it. There's going to be like, okay, last level is one room with a big bad guy in it. Just kill him. End this, just please.
Like some crudely drawn candles in the background, and it's done. It's done. Just get it out. Yeah, it's quite. To me, it was noticeable. Anyway, I thought the first world is significantly better than the others, but the others were still good.
And this is still Hat in Time, right? And Ukulele.
Hat in Time and Ukulele.
Yeah.
I
mean, Mario 64 kind of had that too, where I mean, it's not like the ending stages were bad in some of these games, but it's like you can tell that there's just a little bit more detail and a few more wacky things. There might be like a way that two elements in the game's mechanical set sort of interact with each other that they don't ever again.
Yeah. That stuff, yeah. I got to say though, Banjo-Kazooie never suffered from that though, especially the first one. That was.
It's been a long time.
Level was just as good. Yeah.
It's been a long time since I played. I need to go back and play them. I think they're on the Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah, I think so.
Both of them, Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, right? As the sequel.
Yeah, I didn't see. This is quite, I didn't think much of Banjo-Tooie. A lot of people kick off when you say that. I think they
Really?
fell into that trap of making it bigger.
Them's fighting words.
Yeah, the world's just got bigger and bigger.
I never played that one.
And it was just annoying. You know, you think, oh, I've got to go over there now. It's going to take me 8 minutes just to walk over there. You know?
That's not
And
fun.
that's-
This isn't Skyrim.
Split the levels up. You're better off having 10 levels that are half the size and instead of 5 massive worlds. It just mixes things up a bit more.
It's
in
easy
my
to
opinion.
fall into that trap where you want to make your stuff bigger and better and kind of pad it out a little bit. I mean, there are games that get away with it.
Yeah.
Certainly. One game that's just kind of lighten up the charts is Hollow Knight,
Oh, yes.
which is a gorgeous game. Have you played it?
I have played it, yeah.
Okay. Some of the levels are very long. Like, and there's a reuse of assets and stuff, and it's like, how did they get away with this? Like, that's not necessarily a criticism. It's just like,
See, I liked Hollow Knight. I think I was bewitched by its visuals and its sound.
I think that's the trick.
Yeah,
And it's fine to lean on something like that, I think. It's like
But when that
atmosphere.
sort of calmed down for me when I was playing,
Yeah.
there was a few things about it I didn't quite get to grips with that I sort of put me off. I never finished it. Whereas I'd recently just played Guacamelee, which is a similar sort of thing just before.
Yeah.
And while Guacamelee falls down in comparison visually and with the sound and stuff, I think the gameplay is so much smoother and a bit more. It's a bit tighter and stuff. Like the one thing, the knockback you get from enemies in Hollow Knight when you hit them, you get a slight knockback when you're attacking an enemy, and that forever irritated me.
That's right.
Forever. Yeah,
When you
forever
strike
irritated
an
me.
enemy with your weapon, you kind of ricochet off them a little bit. Yeah, that set me off a little at first too, where I was like, "That's actually." You know what? I'll be honest. It actually enraged me. It's like, why would it do this? They should go back. I should stay. It just felt. It felt like Bizarro World to me. I bet. And again, like I haven't finished that game either, but probably that was one of the reasons why too. It was like, you're gonna fucking bounce off fucking attacks.
I think
That never happens.
as well. I just got lost at one point. I got quite far in, and then I got lost, and it was like a 10-minute backtrack to a boss that kept killing me.
Yeah,
and I was just like, nah.
but that is a unique thing about it, and that's I bet that kind of comes into play. I mean, you look at videos and stuff of people a little deeper into that game, and they're bouncing off of enemies, and they know exactly how to control them and stuff, and it's like, oh, okay, there's probably a payoff for that,
It's a great game, absolutely amazing game. Probably the best Metroidvania for the God knows how long.
Yes.
Until of course
jeez.
Ghosten. Yeah. Until Savage.
Oh yeah. I will say that you don't bounce off enemies when you
No, you don't.
Yeah.
You get a satisfying crunch.
The problem used to be where in Savage you would slide
All right.
into them. Like you'd be attacking, and if you're running, you full run and you hit the attack button, your character would gradually slow down to a halt. I mean, it didn't take forever, but it was just enough to where if you were pretty close to a bad guy and you decided to stop and attack, your slide would cause you to bump into them and take damage. So
don't want that.
what I had to do is, if your weapon collided with an enemy, it's like you stop in your tracks, and that felt
nice.
very good. It was like, okay,
Crunch. Nice.
yeah,
Nice. Yeah.
bit of game feel.
Yeah.
So yeah, Hat in Time, good.
How did we get onto Hollow Knight? I don't even know how we got onto Hollow.
That's my fault, probably. I can't remember.
It's a great game. But so's Hat in Time.
Oh, padding. Banjo-Tooie being too long and the levels being too big, and the temptation of making them too large too. And then,
Well, I fell for that. I said this on the last FlameCast. I fell for that trap with GO2 that I'm working on.
yeah, and like I said too, Savage has that same issue where like this is going on for kind of too long, probably.
Yeah.
Some of the areas and stuff. So you'll probably see that in Savage, where the beginning is like meandery, and then later on it's like, as I start to lose my sanity and get more impatient, it's like, oh, that dungeon was over quick.
Yeah, but it's understandable, it's understandable.
Yeah. But I think you can get away with that if you sort of fill in the gaps, so to speak, with some
But I think
atmosphere
there's there's the obvious bonus as well, and I think it's the same for most games. It is the first zone, the first area, the first world is probably the most important. You know?
Yes. Yeah.
Because that's when people, and I'm not saying, you know, make the first world good and the rest shit. That's not what I'm saying. But I think,
moving on. That's
yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? We've got them. No, I don't.
yeah,
I don't think that's how it works.
Hook, line, and Shigeru.
Yeah, but I think a lot more thought needs to go into that first, you know, half hour of gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
That's, you know.
Well, even from a practical design standpoint, because you're trying to get the player to grips with what the hell is going on in the game mechanically.
Yeah.
You know.
And you also don't want them to turn it off and go play something else. You know, that's
yeah. So, tits.
Yep.
Rock and roll and blood, blood and guts.
Done.
Yeah.
Done. Sounds good.
You got them.
Cool. Well, that's Hat in Time and Hollow Knight and Guacamelee. And
Yeah, probably a lot of other things.
I don't even know. I don't even know where we're at.
Yeah, we were going to talk about everybody's losing their minds right now about. I mean, well, when are they not? I guess. Me too. I'm sure we're losing our minds over something. But
I always am.
yeah, 100-hour crunch weeks and just crunch in general. Lots of people getting reamed on YouTube and other places, Twitter.
Yeah.
You know, the mobs coming after people over working their employees to complete an utter death, just grinding them into paste.
Yeah.
Beneath the heel of capitalism.
And then throwing them out the window and just dragging in some more against their will.
Yeah. It's shipping the remains off to their mom with a note saying "Ha ha."
So what's your take on it then? Go on.
So I think there's a coming from somebody that's doing this kind of crap by themselves, working on games and trying to produce entertainment in general. If you're not working over 40 hours a week, you're kind of spinning your tires a little bit.
Yep.
And especially if a wave comes along, you know, and you just want to ride it, and that takes you to heights of 100 hours or whatever. I mean, my typical work week is anywhere from between 60 hours to, and I've hit 100 hours plenty of times.
Yeah.
Easily, but 14-hour days and junk like that. But I also think if you're at a job, and if they're doing that to you, I hesitate to use that sort of terminology that they're doing that to you. You should probably leave if you're not getting paid. I don't know. I mean, of course, that's easier said than done too. But we can't really talk about specifics because I don't know anybody else. But
I think.
But in the broad sense, it's like you shouldn't. You definitely shouldn't be doing that. But then again, every single job ever comes with unforeseen situations where you got to put a little extra time in, and then you get paid for it too. You get compensated legally. So
sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes not. Yeah. Depending on if you're salary or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Or hourly.
I think it's a tricky one because obviously I'm not going to say, because some people get crushed under that. You know, some people do. It seems like some people get crushed. But
and my sympathies. You don't want anybody to,
of course,
have a heart attack doing something they don't want to do. You know.
Yeah, this is our generic preface to what we're about to say. You know what I mean? We got
to pre-qualify everything.
Yeah. We don't hate people. We don't want people to lose their jobs.
Yeah.
But here we go. Let me just.
But I hate you, and I want you to lose your job. No.
It's like I've never had a job in my life where there's not been crunch, right?
Yeah.
Even outside of games. This is.
Yes.
I've never worked in the games industry apart from a small stint.
Let's emphasize that outside of games.
Yeah.
And entertainment. Just work.
My wife, she works silly hours some weeks when it's like end of year. She's in finance, so when they have like this end of year stuff and all that, I don't see her for a week because she's there working, and that's her job. But I think there's this issue of like, I agree, if everyone could just work 40 hours and go home, life would be amazing, right? But at the same time, you have this want to get ahead in whatever business you're in. If you don't want to get ahead in whatever business you're in, clock out and go. You know what I mean? Shut up.
Yeah.
But people don't. People want to work, and like you see all this stuff about game crunch and how you're not forced to do it, but it's under the guise of if you don't do it, you'll be out of here, son. You know?
Yeah.
And I don't
yeah.
know how much I
Then
believe
people
that.
will look down on you, and then they'll hire. You know, you'll get placed in a row or a list somewhere where it's like that. Okay, that person's next on the chopping block.
I think there's also you know, there's worth talking about. It's a very difficult industry to get in. There's very few jobs a lot of people want. So if you can't take one of those jobs and just expect to do 40 hours, check out, go home, and you know, sit in beanbags all day, drinking, you know, Starbucks or whatever else. It's not the real world. You know,
tea with balls in it.
Yeah, if you're in a cutthroat competitive industry, especially an entertainment-based one, then you need to pull your finger out and work, or shut up and get another job.
If you want to be there, if you want to be doing it.
You know, you're not in a factory. You know what I mean? You're not in a shop. You know, this is not that sort of job. It's you know, a job that probably for every 100 people that want a job, one person gets it. So, you know, that's it. You know, you're going to have to fight to keep it. And these companies will take advantage, because why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
It's not a good thing.
Well, it's not necessarily that anybody. Crunch doesn't happen because somebody wakes up and is like, "Hey, you know what'd be fun?
Yeah,
you know, what'd be a fun, good time today is if I made everybody fucking miserable and shaved off an hour and a half off of their life, and then we'll do that every day this week, and then the month too. Oh, it's gonna be so good. It doesn't happen though. It's because everybody is together creating something from nothing, and that is a feat. If you've done anything, music, you wrote a book, especially on a team, worked on a movie in production on set, you're there forever. You're there for 16 hours under lights, and you might not even on set, for example, you might not even get used that day. You might not do anything, depending on who you are and what you're doing. If you're production, you might just be holding a light, making sure nobody trips on a cable for forever. And you can feel like it's like, well, why the fuck was I even here today? It's like, well, because if you weren't, like, something would fall apart, and then you know, somebody might get hurt, or it's unforeseen stuff that takes a certain amount of time that nobody really factored in. It's like when you schedule out your time, it's like when you come up with a number, for example, if I'm making a, you know, egg jam hero version 4 or whatever, and I kind of block out my week and stuff. It's like, okay, it's going to take this amount of time to draw these rocks, another 5 hours to draw those rocks, another 3 hours to color these rocks yellow, and then I'll have a game. Like at the, you know, it's you're kind of going into that with the best week planned. It's like nothing's going to go wrong. You know, we're not going to have a storm that takes out the internet. My cat's not going to get sick. The toilet won't get clogged, and then somebody has to come in and like replace the pipes, or you know, whatever. It's like
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Or it's like, oh shit, I ran into an issue that I didn't know how to do. So now I have this whole new thing that might blow that schedule out of the, you know, but I still have to deal with whatever challenge is directly in front of me. So it's endless, that sort of stuff.
I think it's also that's never really discussed. I think a lot of it is to get clicks and to get, you know, the YouTube views, and it's all bollocks.
Oh, absolutely,
I think the people who are spinning it have a little bit more sense than some of the things they're saying, right? Because if you remove crunch, right? So crunch is basically all hands on deck, shit hits the fan, deadlines looming, we need to get this done, right?
Yeah, we're nowhere near where we thought we were going to be at this point.
And so, right, let's rid the world of crunch, right, and go back to 40-hour weeks, right? Okay, so you've got this AAA game that's cost $500 million to make, right? And it needs to go out in 2 days' time, but you still got 3 months of development, right? That needs to be done. Just carry on developing. Now the game requires an extra, 200 million units to shift to cover the cost, the extra cost. It doesn't cover it because of the longer running development cycle. More people get the sack. It's like that. It's you can't put a. And the other thing is as well, you've got to put a deadline on these projects. You think about, I'm trying to put a deadline on my project, and it's just me making it. Yeah. Imagine having a deadline and a budget.
And
for
you've got so
games.
much creative and mental currency in the day
Yeah.
to use up. And you schedule it out thinking you're going to have more.
Yeah. Yeah. So you try doing that for 1,000 people spread across 6 studios across the world.
Yeah, all those people have toilets. All those people have cats. All those people have an infinite number of factors that could go wrong in their home life.
The designer just goes, I quit. I've had enough. I'm going to
Yeah, the only way any of this stuff would work, like let's say we want to eliminate crunch, right? The only way any of that works is like if we ask the entire rest of the world to also slow down.
Yeah.
Just like everybody slow down. It's like a huge ecosystem, and that's not the way people work.
No.
Somebody gets inspired. They want to go. They want to make Egg Jam Game 4 or whatever.
It's competition as well.
Yeah.
It's straight up competition. Like this is one of the things I say as an indie developer. Like I might not be the very best game developer on the earth, but I will outwork people. Like that's my only thing that I can really do is push.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You can decide to stay on the treadmill.
Exactly.
Is that what's the Will Smith thing? He's like, if I'm at the gym and there's a guy next to me on the treadmill, I'm going to stay on the treadmill till he gets off.
Yeah. Well, this is it. This is a real thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, 'cause if you put in an extra 10 hours a week, right? If you think about it, if you put in an extra 10 hours a week over the year, you've got extra hours. You could have done an extra whole game. You could have released the whole game in that time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
And that's no different to any business, any job, anywhere ever. It's just I just think people are obsessed with this utopia world that they want us to live in that we never will. They never will. You know, I always say to people, you're more than welcome to do this, but I'm going to fucking take advantage of that. You know what I mean? I'm going to do 80. You know, I don't feel bad for that at all in any way. You know?
Yeah. No, same.
I'll do me.
If I don't do that, then I wind up feeling like shit, to be honest.
But that's just your own personal drive. That's not the world making you feel like shit, surely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nobody's oppressing me.
Yeah.
You know, nobody's
Well,
pointing.
someone probably is.
Maybe, yeah. It's that same guy who invented crunch up there.
Yeah, exactly.
In his ivory tower, how can I just... I need more human pudding.
Yeah. And I think it is bad that people get sick and stuff. You know, I've been ill through overwork in my last profession, and it's awful. It's awful. But I didn't have to do it. You know what I mean? It was... well, sometimes I did, but... You know, I left in the end because I didn't want to do it anymore. Did something else. You know?
Well, and that's that too. It's not every situation has this, or not everybody's lucky to have this. But there are support networks, either in your personal life or within a company too. Like benefits, and you know, and you read about people having to take mental health weeks. And then they can, and it's usually paid for or something. And again, not all the time, but it's there are reasons why people stop to pick up their buddy when they fall over, and
and it's a hard industry.
Yeah,
that's the thing as well. It's a tough industry, and there's a lot of people joining it who are not. They've got this idea that it's all make believe dreams and dancing in fairyland. You know what I mean? It's not that. It's a hard business. A hard, cutthroat industry.
Anything that's worth doing kind of is.
Yeah, exactly. Especially, again, something, we said this last time, something as completely unimportant as video games. You know what I mean? To make your company relevant is extremely hard. And to make money selling people something they don't need is even harder. You know what I mean?
Yeah, to get people to pay attention to your product.
These companies have to be, or else they'll just vanish in an instant. And then, you know, people will be even more upset, you know. Yeah.
There's no invisible safety net anywhere.
Yeah, and I think it also comes down to, I don't believe that these companies say to people, that's shit, you know. You either do a 100-hour work week, or, you know, when it comes to the next round of layoffs, we can't assure you that you'll be safe. I don't believe that. I don't believe it at all.
Nobody is 100% an asshole. There are varying degrees of it, sure, but
of course. But no one's going to say that to anyone. That's not how the real world works at all. You know, if you're a lazy piece of shit and it comes to layoffs, and then maybe you're going to get let go. But
you know, to get down into the minutia of it, I think like if somebody gets mad at somebody else, it's usually because they're stressed too. Yeah, you know,
and just to say,
because they're under crunch too, and they're like, lazy. God damn it.
It's a tough business. Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? Feel sorry for the people who have to do it, but I think more than half of the people who have to do it don't care. They get on with it because it's their job. And
I don't want anybody to suffer.
No, God no. God no. Definitely not. No, but I think it's a lot of it's sort of self-imposed. Like it's like joining a business where you know there's crunch. You do the crunch. You get upset that you have to do the crunch, and then demand that you don't have to do it. Like even if you, it's like it's madness.
That's a good point
It's
too.
like getting a job as a train driver and then complaining that you have to drive a train.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And the funny part too is that all the people that are making a bunch of noise about this kind of stuff, they're crunching to get that information out.
Yeah, exactly.
To get their sensational video or whatever out there.
YouTubers and journalists working as many hours as
it's like they hit 70 hours to report on that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
God.
Yeah, but they wouldn't tell you that. They wouldn't tell. They don't. Do you know what I mean? Well, they want everyone else to be sat on their ass because that's the thing. There's two types of things. You can either sit down and consume, or you can create.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the more people that are sat on their ass consuming, the better it is for a creator.
And I fall into that too. There are days where I'm just like, I've got my project out in front of me, and then on the other monitor, I'm just kind of sitting consuming all this garbage because my energy level is so low or whatever, or I'm burnt out or something, and it's like, 5 hours go by, and it's like I've kind of animated a thing a little bit. Put in a piece of code. Yeah. And then you stop and you think, and it's like, oh, hey, this is really good for the other guy.
But that's the way it goes, That's the way it goes. But I'm just going to have to stop you there, Tobor, because I'm feeling really thirsty, and I think it's time for a Tesco's Blue Spark. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Tesco. I'm just going to crack that back.
Look at that. Listen.
Oh, great taste, great energy. Tesco's Blue Spark.
So fresh, so refreshing, so
delicious,
crisp.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Sorry about
I can
that,
practically taste it from over here. I'm excited. I'm going to go get some. Hold on. We don't even have them out here.
Available at all good Tesco's.
I'm gonna buy myself a plane ticket, get a passport, and
right. So that's crunch.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry, I don't know if people agree with that, but it might come across a bit harsh. But I don't think it is. I think reality is harsh. The world is hard, man. It is, isn't it? It's tiring.
And I get people wanting to complain about it. I do it all the time.
I'll tell you why.
I have done it on our podcast here on our show. I do it on Twitch. So
do I. Just moan how tired I am. I've even had to try and tame it down a bit.
How exciting!
I first started, I was streaming 3 times a day, morning, noon, and night.
Jesus,
it's crazy, it's stupid. I had to knock the night streams out.
Yeah,
because it was killing me. I still work in the evenings, but I just can't stream it. I just can't do it because I need some time away. And then I had to drop.
Sounds like you were
Tuesday.
crunching.
I was hard, for about 1.5 years. But if I could go back to that amount of energy, I would.
Yes, that's the thing is if I could do all of this stuff and not feel like garbage, keep it up, that's the main thing.
You'll never have to sleep again. I'll take 2 of them. You know what I mean? And I would go for it. I wouldn't give a damn. But just be at the computer.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. But I can't. I'm getting older and I'm getting tired.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think it's interesting. Right. Anyway, that's crunch.
Tobor and Windybeard talk about games and other things. This is something you'll enjoy. Yeah.
Next we was going to discuss old epic games.
Yeah, the gift that keeps on giving forever. They just there's always something new with these guys. And I don't think you and I have ever even really talked about Epic.
No, we haven't. So this will be interesting.
Yeah. So what do you think? What's going on with Epic?
Of Epic or the store? What are we talking about here?
The store in generally, I guess, or the company in general, but specifically. How do you feel about the concept of competing with Twitch potentially to get you to put a game on the Epic Store? Twitch
or Steam?
Oh, did I say Twitch?
Yeah, you mean Steam.
I meant Epic. Sorry. Yes, Steam versus Epic. I'm tired. Tesco. I need some Tesco.
That's because we did 100 hours to set up for this stream,
Yeah, 100 of them.
What do I think of Epic?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think at the moment it's the big boys club, At the moment, I'll be interested to see where they go with it. because it fills me with a little bit of worry, the Epic Store, especially if someone at my level, right? Because I'm a small developer, as you well know, and I don't have much chance.
Do tell.
I don't have much chance of getting on the Epic Store right now, right? I don't, and it's the gold rush, the gravy train. So you got these games going on there; they're getting huge amounts of ability and all this stuff, right? So I tried filling out their submit your game form, and it just came up error. Please try again later, right? So I was like,
didn't even register.
No. It just went nope.
Who are you?
I thought I'd try again later, but I keep my eye on the store, and it looks like it's all the big hitters coming out. So it's more a case of AAAs and indies who've already made their millions on other platforms, right? Which is fair enough. So it'd be interesting to see when and if they start rolling that out, smaller and smaller developers, but I doubt they will. I think they're going to stay heavily curated, big hitters platform, you know?
Yes.
So that kind of worries me because it's going to take a lot of eyeballs. Steam Store, especially considering AAA brings a lot of people to Steam, or it used to before they started losing all their AAAs. So that's another thing I don't think makes me too happy because, like Borderlands, for example, the amount of people who would have come on the Steam platform Borderlands would have been, you know, even if you took 0.001% of that and they looked at indie games, that would be a huge amount of people, you know. But they won't be there anymore. They'll be on Epic looking at other big hits, you know. So that's going to make that tricky. And also, I think what I really dislike about the Epic Store and about a couple of these other stores, actually, Humble and all this, is everything. They're just giving away stuff for free. How can you compete? How can you compete when they're giving away AAA games for free each month? You know what I mean? You're thinking, who the hell is going to look for games to buy when I can just download some 6-month-old AAA game for absolutely nothing? You know, and it's a loss leader for them. So they're just, you know, they've got endless cash. So
that's kind of where I see it right now. It's one giant loss leader. It's like not only just financially for them, but the facing of it, the perception of them. They're just. Well, it seems like they're just making everybody mad. Yeah. I mean, and it's not. I don't necessarily 100% agree with that on a practical level, like on a mechanical level, but it's like perception is most of the game, you know, so to speak. It's
I think they get the positive stuff they do get is, hey, they give a better cut to developers, you know, they're nicer to developers, but the developers,
and that was the initial thrust,
are already making money. They're already, you know.
See, that's what I see it as. It's just a weird. They're chasing like kind of weird stuff, I guess. Where it's.
But I get it. While they've still got the Fortnite money tap on full blast,
I think it is probably the smartest thing that they could have done if they want to kind of take over,
as much money as they can to get as much of a foothold before Fortnite dies down a bit, and they have to start relying on that storefront, much like Valve did, you know, with their games. They turn their millions into billions, you know, by doing exactly what Fortnite Epic are doing. So I understand it, and at the end of the day, Epic's a business; they don't give a shit, and good for them. That's the way the world works. You know, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah,
but I can express concerns as a developer. You know, I do think I don't think it's good for me at all. I can't see it being good for me in any way. If anything, I can see it having bad ramifications. You know,
in what way exactly? Do you think?
Less visibility on Steam, less people on Steam. So if they take a big chunk of the audience, so there'll be less people.
Oh sure,
on Steam.
yeah.
So that's one. You know, visibility is already a problem.
Potential eyeballs are not looking at, you know, the platform you're on.
Just giving away high quality AAA games for nothing. Just go on there and download it. So people are playing those, which means they're not playing indie games.
I don't know about. I haven't seen any free AAA stuff. I've seen a bunch of free smaller stuff.
Didn't they give away? Oh no, it was what's it called? They're all doing it, aren't they? Because I think Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed, or something. So all these companies are competing now by giving away their games for free. So you think, fuck.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Not only are you trying to sell a game against AAA, the AAA games are now free. Yeah, it's tough. You know, and it might sound like I'm going, "Oh, it's not fair." You know,
but
I don't give a damn. It's business.
It's an element. You know,
it's not fair. It's a real problem. You know,
ow, my crunch.
Yeah, exactly. Genuine concerns. Here's me working 172 hours a week, You know what I mean? Under duress. You know?
2 million hours a week. Yeah. Nothing but blue spark to.
Yeah. Tesco's Blue Spark. But if I got a phone call from Epic saying, here's $100, put your game on our store, I don't blame these developers. I'll take that in a heartbeat. I would love to know how much they paid for Borderlands 3. I would love to know that number.
Yeah.
Well, and a huge number.
I think a lot of it too could be diffused if, let's say, Windybeardgames does get contacted by, hey guys, you know, and I'm Epic, and I'm like, hey, I'll give you like $20 bajillion to put GO2 on Epic for a year.
It's likely.
Only.
It's likely.
Yeah, it could happen tomorrow, and then right when this goes live, they're going to be beating down the door. Let's say that happens, you know, and it's like, well, I could take care of, you know, my family and my whatever else, my pet. I can make sure that I can keep doing this for a long time. More games. I can make more games. Yep. Here's something that I'd. First of all, for me, I don't like digital platforms in general. I do like the opportunity that they give to me to make things and to put those things in front of people and potentially get paid for them. Like I'm not the biggest fan of the delivery mechanism, that being you know, ether. Like it's a thing that I don't have, that I don't control for myself as a consumer. It's all of the control is on the other side. You know, I don't like it being so one-sided. Which that's another thing too, if I can digress like crazy for a second.
Go ahead.
On like things like Stadia and you know, these completely and totally like
you don't even have a download.
Fairy dust
streaming it from
platforms.
someone's cloud. Yeah.
Terrible. And I mean, I get the Netflix angle too. It's you know, it's but and it's in the same way, things like music, popular music, and movies have been completely devalued by, you know, stuff like that, I guess. But
the problem is with these routes, the way things go is it just puts more money at the top and less for the creators. That's the problem. I've been contacted by a few of these submodels, you know, these subscription model stores, smaller ones and stuff.
So have I. Yes, nothing like nothing like Epic or Stadia or anything. No, but I have been. Yeah, it's like, can we put your game on our
subscription store,
our service?
Like, no, because the deal is not right. It's just it's terrible. You're talking about like $1 an hour of gameplay and less. You know, for some of these stores, and you think, nah, you know what I mean? How can you can't quantify it down to that ridiculous value? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You could have a game that costs £10, right? That's 50 hours long, or you could have a £10 game that's 2 minutes long. You know, it doesn't come down to that. I just think it's such a weird model. You know?
Well, and in 60 frames a second or 30 frames a second or whatever, like how much excitement or fun or value are you getting out of that stuff game to game? It's different. Yeah, it's way different.
The problem is what these subscription storefronts are going to do is the first thing I'll do as a developer is I'll instantly go, right, most games engagement's 2 to 4 hours max. You know what I mean? That's like a good metric to think. Most people aren't going to play 30 hours of your game, right?
Yeah,
it's unlikely. There's just some people will, but it will just, you know, it'll be a massive, you know, drop off of how many people play it after a couple of 4 or 5 hours. You know, so
most people don't complete games. Most people don't get halfway through games.
So why, as a developer, as an indie developer, would you ever make a game again that lasts more than 2 hours, 3 hours? What's the point? You might as well just instead of making one 30-hour epic experience that you pour everything into, you might as well make 10 3-hour ones that you cobble together, because there's a better chance of you getting an hour or two of gameplay out of each and every one. So it's just going to completely change the landscape of what developers are making. Yeah. So it's not good for the consumer in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. In other words, it encourages people to make short, crappy stuff.
Yeah, because what's the point of making a big game unless, and you know what I mean, like the risk already of making
for a service like that, yeah.
Yeah, because you can at least slap a £10, £15 price tag on it. So if someone pays 4 hours, but they're happy with those 4 hours, they're happy they paid a tenner. If they play 50 hours, they're also happy they paid a tenner.
Yeah,
you know, but it's just, I don't think it's good.
But I think that reinforces, if we could go all the way back to the beginning of our conversation where you talked about games going in a more artisanal direction.
Yeah.
I do think, like, as things like this shift around, there's always going to be room for that sort of stuff. I think video games are, I mean, they're a consumable.
Yep.
But the nice thing about them is the more good and better ones there are, the more people want to do that again.
Yeah, definitely.
With a different coat of paint, you know, so they're going to be... Yeah. People will be looking for stuff like that, and the people will be looking for, you know, like GO2 and stuff like that. But
and I think a lot of people like you and me and probably most indie developers will survive on sort of patronage almost. Like people will buy all your games and they'll not. I suppose the word's not help you out, but you know, like when you go to like a craft fair or something, where people make cool shit out of metal and wood or whatever, and you buy it for like 25 quid for a bowl that's made out of nuts and bolts, and you think, oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, it's worth about 8 pence, but I paid 25 quid for it because someone made it with their bare hands. They sold it to me. I met the developer, and I think that's the route for most. It's going to go. Everyone still has that dream of, you know, shooting for the stars with one game, but I think most people are going to survive basically on the interest of a small community of people who like their work. You know, I think that's what indie development will become. You know, because when these subscription models and these streaming services kick in, it's going to look like the mobile games market within 6 months.
I've always kind of looked at this as from a, and the thing that keeps popping into my head as an example is comic book artists, where it's like I might not be the biggest Spider-Man fan, or this is as an example. I love Spider-Man personally, but like I'm Person A or whatever, Man X, and I might not like Spider-Man all that much. I might not like Hulk all that, but I love Todd McFarlane, let's say. So I've got to get every Spider-Man that Todd McFarlane put his, stamp on. I want to see what he's doing with Spawn. I want to, it's like you like what that guy's doing. So you want more of what he's doing, and you're not necessarily like a Marvel fan, and you're not necessarily an Image Comics fan or whatever, but you're a Todd McFarlane guy, and you.
Yeah, I think it's going to go that way.
Yeah, you like Jason Lee or whoever, and.
Yeah. So that's why I think platforms like Patreon are important. You know, things like that. I think they are. I think.
Yeah, regardless of what Epic does and what all these other big guys do, is you're kind of. You're putting on a bear costume and you're dancing out in front of your bakery is what you're doing. Yeah. It's like, and people wind up liking the bear costume. Yeah. And the bakery too, but it's like they go to the bakery because it's like, oh, there's a guy with a bear costume dancing around outside. It's fun.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Bear costume outside a bakery, definitely. No. I think that's what's going to happen. But you know, what do I know? What do I know? It's all just shit in the wind, isn't it? Who knows?
Yeah. Well, and that was my ultimate point. I think with the Epic Store was, it's another digital platform. It really, as a consumer, to me, there are some things to be kind of concerned about. Like I guess one of the, I did a little bit of reading, not too much, because I don't know how. But
I don't know how to read.
I guess one of the chairpersons or whatever on Tencent, which owns
everything.
Like what 40% of Epic, or it might be it's high. It's 20 to 40. I can't remember exactly what it is.
They own almost everything.
Yeah, it's a very professional show here with hard-hitting journalism. But that guy has a seat somewhere in the Chinese government, parliament or whatever they call it over there, and it's like, well, that's kind of, I don't know that I want to necessarily, like anything. Like if Steam had, a congressperson, sitting in there, that's kind of weird to me. There's a little bit of,
it is odd.
Yeah,
it is odd. But
again, China has the wacky terms for their games. So and somebody framed it that way to me. It's like, well, maybe it's so that they can get games pushed a little easier through China's regulation as far as what's acceptable content.
And I think it's hard as well. I think like all of this stuff, the Chinese government and Tencent and Epic and all this, Like I think you'd need to understand how their government works. I don't know how their government works. I don't know who he is or what he does or why he's there. It's because I think you equate it to how we would say in the UK or America.
It's not a 1-to-1 to wherever we are.
Yeah. So it might just be like a position that we don't understand how it works, or you know what I mean? Could be like just I don't know. But
yeah.
I don't think they're in there spying on us all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but and
That's
it's.
not what
And regardless of like spying and whatever the hell else, and like, oh, the Chinese government's gonna get us, and get our data, and then fucking dox the shit out of everybody, you know, or whatever. Send Chinese shock troops over here. It's really easy to frame it in like, oh, you're just pumping money into the Chinese government. It's like, well, I don't necessarily know what that means.
I don't care if I am.
100%. Yeah, I know that them as a governing body are doing some shady shit to other people, but it might not be necessarily be that guy, and it's not.
But then most online goods are
a bunch of nerds
American
at Tencent, and again, it's like I don't know.
Most stuff that I purchase is through American companies, so I'm always putting money into the American government.
Yeah,
you know. So
well, and it's like pick your poison.
It's always going somewhere.
Somebody's doing something shitty to somebody somewhere, and it's not. That's not to say that you should be okay with any of it, but you know, it's like
whatever.
It's exhausting to go over all the time.
It's tricky, and I think a lot of it's, especially with stuff like that, when you get into the old 10-cent Chinese government connection. I've read some of it. It's just too much for me. Yeah. I don't know where that trail goes.
Well, and I don't know what is just pure sensationalism and what's
this is it.
Information that's not 100% correct, and it's, you know,
and it's hard in the games industry because most of it's garbage. That's like most of the stuff we're fed is absolute garbage.
Yeah.
None of it makes any sense. None of it's real. It's all hypocritical. It's all I don't know what's going on half the time. I find it really hard to just find decent information about what's going on because it's always a thumbnail of someone going, oh, you know, with like some ridiculous, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but on the flip side of that, though, what you can judge a company on is the product they make.
Yeah.
And what's nice about video games is there's a lot of objectively measurable things. It's like, does it work? If I start it up, what does it do to my machine? You know?
I think on that note, I think it's always hard. Shit, Ubisoft. I think. Because I think they make
Say again,
really
your mic cut out there.
Oh no, not again.
Just a little bit. From key moments in your sentence. You're talking about
Ubisoft get a lot of shit. And I think that they are a good company, good development studio. They make good games. They might be a bit open world, busy worky, you know, but they still make solid, good looking games. You know?
Yeah, and that's a subjective problem. You know, that's like either you like the giant world map where you unlock nodes on it, or you don't.
Yeah,
it's like
exactly. But
and if you love it, then Ubisoft's your man, or your woman, or whatever.
They still make solid games. I think it's just trendy, isn't it, to shit on them, all these companies.
Yeah, well,
that's what it comes down to.
It's a brand or what is it? Product fatigue or whatever, where it's like,
and it's always interesting to watch as well. This is about a year. That CD Projekt Red, right? Everyone's sweetheart, CD Projekt Red, right? Everyone loves it, right?
Oh, we gotta go there, huh?
FlameCast. I've been there exactly. FlameCast. I like CD Projekt Red. Witcher's a bit much for me. It's a bit too big. I ain't got time for that, right? But they seem like a good company, right? And everyone's going on about how they're different and all this, right? And how amazing.
Yeah, I don't think there's any argument that they do produce quality.
Oh, they make good games. Yeah,
in their
good games.
3 games. Yeah,
they're massive, right? They're going to be one of the big boys, right? They're going to be up there with EA, Ubisoft, Square, all these big companies.
Yeah, once Cyberpunk 2077 comes out, then it's like,
So I'm going to be interested to see what they do with that game. Because I'll be looking interestingly at how that game turns out. I'm assuming it's going to be really good, but I want to see because I imagine they're taking huge investment. They've probably got Tencent probably owns 30% of them by now. I don't know. Like there's already these articles coming out about how they're doing the 100-hour work.
Well, and you want to talk about government shit like what's it? They're in Poland, right?
Yes.
They have gotten government money to make their games, like grants.
Yeah, it's it'll be an interesting one. I say give it 5 years. You'll have all the YouTubers screaming about evil CG Projekt
yeah,
Red are,
yes.
how they're, you know what I mean, misbehaving, abusing their customers and their staff, and
there's cracks
just goes round
forming.
and round. Yeah, but it's just nice to watch the delicate flower of CD Projekt Red blossom into the violent, vicious corporation that everyone knows it's going to be. But no one wants to say it.
Man-eating monster.
Yeah, because they like Witcher. You can't say these things. That's the thing. And I always find it amusing.
Yeah.
You know. But
Yeah.
I
No,
imagine
they're going to live long enough to become the villain.
Yeah, of course they are. Yeah, they'll be one of the big ones. One of them will probably die off. I don't know who. One of the big guys will die off, you know.
Yeah.
Because you need to get one out to get another one in.
Well, that's what I hope happens to us.
What's that? We
I
die off?
hope we get big enough to become the villain, you know?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I would be violent. I'd be vicious. Yeah.
Oh, you'd crunch everybody.
Yeah, 500-hour work weeks. That's it.
No beanbags.
They'll have nutritional tubes going in. Just so they can make more games.
Please. Yeah. Can I get another injection?
Yeah, just a conveyor belt of shit underneath them all.
My eyeballs are starting to feel like sandpaper. Can I have a new... Yeah. Tesco's blue spritz.
Yeah. Developer B17F needs a spritz. Mummy, please, I want to go home, Mummy. No, more.
Yeah.
I'd only sell 25% to, you know, only 25%.
Yeah. Can't go too crazy.
Well, that's Epic Games, I think.
Yeah.
Is that Epic Games covered?
Yeah, I think that is in a blanket.
Roundabout kind of way.
Yeah, and between Epic and what's that?
I don't think it hurts for Steam to have a little kick up the arse. To be honest, I love Steam.
No, 100%.
I love Steam.
Yeah.
Really
Here's
like
one thing. How, regardless of how you feel about Epic and and what a brutal monster that they are, and how they hate gamers or whatever. I do like them kind of stirring the pot.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it should change the future because it's getting a bit stale. It is getting a bit stale in the games market.
If nothing else, it's exciting to watch.
Yeah.
It's fun. But it's fun to consume.
I will say that the argument of Epic giving a better percentage cut than Steam, to all these people out there, I would happily give Steam the percentage they request over a smaller percentage from a smaller online store.
Yeah,
I think people fail to realize what Steam gives you. You know, the amount of stuff Steam does for developers. Is
Steam. Yeah, Steam is a social platform in its own right, pretty much.
You can create a community on there. You can engage with your customers.
You can host videos.
You can post videos, artwork. You know, all this stuff.
Live stream through it. People can live stream.
Exactly. And we're only talking about an extra few percent. We're not talking about 70% of your take. And I think people are under this, especially non-developers who cover this stuff, that all that matters to a developer is how much percentage they get. Because I suppose a small percent, I'd prefer to lose a bigger percentage of a massive, massive pie than a smaller percentage of a tiny pie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it too.
It just
you get more pie.
Yeah, and it's a pie that's got robot legs. You know,
yes, yeah.
Crab claws, you know, so it's a good pie.
And a pie that takes into account global exchange rates and
all of that stuff for you.
I should say global payment processors. Because somebody put this to me that I didn't even think about this, was that part of Steam's 30% has to do with the way payment processors in different parts of the world handle money. Some of them go as high as 30%. Some of them, you know, it's like 10, 15, whatever. But it's all within there, and they kind of just uniformly. I mean, obviously, it's a part of the whole thing. It's the, you know, keeping up the forums, keeping up the servers that give you the games and all that shit, and everything, and the research and development and all this stuff. But there's that aspect to it too, and it's a little bit more Wild Westy on Epic apparently, where your game could cost much different on Epic than it would on a different platform, and then somebody might see that and associate that with your brand and be like, okay, they're not being fair or whatever.
Yeah, that's
You know,
bad.
it could sour somebody on Windybeardgames if they bought GO2 on Steam for $200, but then they saw on Epic Store that it was $12.
They could disagree with the fiscal musk of my product.
The musk,
which is not something I want to do. I like to think of my customers as beautiful angels.
perfect in every way.
Yeah. Perfect in every, almost all of them. Not every single one. You know?
No, well, because then how do you define perfection? You need some gutter trash too. So.
Oh yeah, sorry. yeah. But yeah, it's interesting. I like Steam.
Yeah.
I love Steam. I hope they fight back somehow. I don't want to see them decay. It's harsh. It's like watching a giant whale just being picked apart by some modern robotic crab beast, and Steam's just going, oh, because it's so big and bloated, and Epic's just picking off its flesh.
Yeah, it's prodding it in spot, and Steam's
Yeah.
going, stop it, quit it.
Yes, and Steam's little eyes are just weeping, going, "Oh, I can't take any more of this." You know.
If nothing else, I hope that it, I don't even necessarily care if they adjust their percentage.
I don't care.
Just make certain aspects of it just a little better, a little snappier, a little brighter. Who knows? You know.
Well, they've been working on a complete redesign of Steam for years now.
Yeah,
Years.
hopefully, and they've been doing that kind of shit for the whole, projects just kind of vanish into the ether. It'd be nice to see some stuff just get a follow through. It's like just.
Have you ever watched anything about how they work at Valve and stuff like that?
Yeah,
If you haven't, it's amazing. It's mental.
It's all wacky.
Just turn up and do what you want, innit? Turn up and do what you want as long as you're doing something valuable. Yeah, and that's why you never know what they're up to.
Yeah, they need a unified Greece over there to beat back the.
A unified Greece, did you say?
Yeah, to beat back the Xerxes.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, so that's Steam and Epic.
I don't actually know what's going on in Greece in the modern day, but
Oh, who knows? Who knows? All I know is it's a beautiful place. That's all I know. Right.
I bet.
Last one is,
and there's probably everyone over there is probably game developers too, because.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Good. Nice segue there. Well done.
Do you like that?
Good. Oh, you must be a game developer.
I am, and so are you.
So.
Yeah. If you're watching this podcast, if you buy video games at all, if you think about video games, you're probably a game developer.
Smelt a video game. You're a developer.
You must be a game dev.
This is something that's been popping up. I don't know how or why we're going to discuss this, but let's discuss it anyway.
Yeah, let's just go in and see what happens.
Yeah, let's just see. Right, so there's this thing that's going on, right, where I don't even know where it all began.
Yeah. Well, you know what, too? We should preface this with saying that we don't hate babies.
Nope. Don't hate them.
Don't want gay people
actually,
to
I do.
suffer a horrible death.
Nope.
At the hands of sharks. We don't hate the elderly.
Well, not all of them.
Some of them are pricks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ones that are real slow on the roads. Yeah.
Some of them can go straight to hell, but yeah.
Yes. And I'll send them there. No, I won't. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that.
Let's just hold on.
Yeah. We're good.
Yeah.
So we don't hate anyone, and we don't want anyone killed, right? So let's just carry on. So there's this thing where every single person is a game developer, right? Like it's some sort of pillar to be stood upon.
Right.
It's ridiculous. Like I think there was some tweets and stuff about how if you work in a game studio at any job doing anything for that studio, you are a game developer.
If you're in reception, if you're have a janitorial situation.
Yeah. No, you're not. But it's not a problem because being a game developer isn't the pinnacle of human evolution.
It is a description.
Yeah, it's a description of a job.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Like I find it, if you want to be a game developer, there's nothing wrong with aspiring to be something. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's perfectly fine.
Well, the game developer thing should be I want to make a video game. And then you start doing it and it's like, well, you're developing a video game, you know.
You're a game developer.
Right.
Yeah. But you have to actually be developing a video game. You know what I mean? Like
let's talk about that for a second real quick, just so we're on the same the same level, I guess, as what would you consider developing a game? Like, what's the developing part?
I suppose working on the art, programming, the music,
and in what capacity too, though? Because there's well, let's take art for example. You have conceptual artists, right?
Well, you have to be. I suppose this is where we get interesting.
Yeah.
So if for example, I was to pick up the phone and call up Phil Collins, let's go with Phil Collins.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone's favorite
Phil. Yeah.
80s singer Phil Collins. And if I was to phone up Phil, right, like this. Hello. Yeah. Hello, Phil Collins. How you doing, mate? Yeah. Can you do us do my next too? Cheers, mate. You're now a game developer. Right. That doesn't make Phil Collins a game developer. Right.
Right.
He did a song. But if he worked for a studio making a soundtrack for video games, that was his job. That would make him a part of a development team.
I still wouldn't even consider him a game developer, a developer in that capacity though either.
I suppose not. No.
Let's say Phil is Windybeardgames teammate, and he's over there at the drum set behind you. Yeah,
he often comes in and sits there.
Yeah, just jamming out, creating the next best soundtrack for GO2. I'd say he's a musician still.
No, I agree, actually. Yeah, you got me there. I suppose you have to... What is a developer? Someone who actually forwards the creation of the playable game. Let's go. Yeah.
Maybe you're putting together the design elements.
Programmer, designer, artist.
But you get so bound up in the minutia there too, because like somebody can be a producer on a game, like somebody can be like the concept artist on a game. Somebody can be the programmer on a game. And all of those kind of they're developing the game together. But then you get into like marketing and
marketing.
Like even QA. Like QA is like. You're not making a game. You're testing the game. You're a tester.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's a good job. Do it.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing is like, we don't want testers to die. No. We don't want to kill all janitors that work at a game studio.
Imagine being like the global financial head of EA, right?
Yeah.
And being called, you're a game developer. You'd be like, I don't want to be a fucking game developer.
Yeah, that's a good spin on that too.
The entire organization. you know what I mean?
Like Reggie Fils-Aimé, I don't consider a game developer.
It's just, but it's crazy, isn't it? And it's like I've had this, and it's like this whole. I know what it is, right? I know what it is. It's telling people they are whatever they want to be, so they click follow, and then you can exploit them later. That's what it is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like if you
it's a trendy word that people desperately. Yeah, there's a philosophy behind it for sure. There's a life philosophy and expectancy.
It's like a badge, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's like a badge people want to wear, like it's something special. And it really isn't. It's like anything, isn't it? If you want to be a game developer, make a game. Like that's it. Just make a game. If it's not like a game developer is the pinnacle. Like it's the title that people want. It's not. It doesn't mean shit.
Yeah.
You either make a game or you don't. You either
but then somebody cries about it because somebody told them that they weren't a game developer, or like even on accident. Like maybe I'm talking to somebody in QA or something, and I'm introducing them to another friend. It's like let's say Reggie works in QA, and I'm out at the bar with somebody, and there's Samantha. I'm like, oh hey Samantha, here's my friend Reggie. He does testing.
Yeah.
On games. It's like, and I don't call him a game developer. And then Reggie goes and like doesn't say anything, but then goes on Twitter later and it's like, I spend 40 hours a day in my cubicle testing Tesco Blue Spark platformer. And I was told today, as if my fucking opinion matters anyway too. It's like, if you want to consider yourself a game, just because another person doesn't consider you a game developer, like who the fuck cares? Yeah. Maybe you consider yourself a fucking game developer, and that's whatever. It's fun. Yeah. If you can back it up and whatever, it's just. Yeah. But then Reggie's like going on a tear and gets all these other people whipped up too, because maybe there's other people that had that same exact experience or whatever.
Yeah.
And they've got it in their brain that game developer is this, as you put it, the pinnacle of.
It's fucking weird, isn't it?
It's just bizarre, and it's like they got their feelings hurt or something.
Yeah. It's madness.
I have a
think
hard
people-
time considering myself a game developer because I haven't developed a game. But no, I did do Egg Jam.
Well, there you go.
So maybe I'm a developer now. I developed
you
it.
go. Yeah, but I think releasing a game makes you a developer. Yes, I agree. There is a part of that. So if you've got a game made, finished, and out, then there's you can say you're a game developer. But I think working on a game for 3 years is a developer. Like, there's no question about that.
Yeah. You are developing for sure.
Yeah, if you knock up a quick cube simulator in Blender, you know what I mean, and then slap it into some sort of tutorial in Unity, you're not a game developer.
Yeah.
You're an aspiring game
Well, yeah,
developer.
there's that aspect
And
too,
that's
where it's like,
perfectly fine.
Yeah,
There's nothing
yeah.
wrong with that. Call yourself a game developer. I don't give a shit. It's not like I care.
yeah,
But it's just this whole like gatekeeping bullshit, isn't it? That's the problem.
we're
That's
gatekeepers.
the real problem, isn't it?
If only we were in such a position that, because let's say that I'm a gatekeeper, right? Like
You are.
you would expect that would come with certain benefits. I don't feel any benefits.
Don't be like us, people. Don't be game developers.
Yeah. Like I'm sitting at the table with the king, feasting
Yeah,
or whatever.
exactly, yeah.
It's like keeping all you fuckers out.
Yeah. This is our special club.
Yeah.
No one thinks that. No one thinks that.
No, and it comes down to like, just because I take a shit every day doesn't mean I'm a biologist. Like,
No.
I'm not a
Not
scientist.
unless you was to pick through it and examine it every day.
Yeah.
I hope you don't.
I would hope that especially then that person could call themselves whatever they want.
Yeah, but they wouldn't be
if
able
they're
to. It's
picking
like
through-
you wouldn't be able to call yourself a biologist at that point just because you sift through your own fecal matter each morning. It doesn't
Yeah,
make
that's
you a
true.
biologist. It makes you an aspiring biologist.
It makes you a weirdo, probably.
Probably. Probably make you-
But
yeah, I
again,
wouldn't
we
recommend
don't
it.
want shit pickers to die.
Yeah.
Or,
Well,
you do you.
I don't know, actually. Not unless you do it professionally. If you're a hobbyist, then yeah, you probably need locking up.
Hobbyist shit picker.
Yeah, there's something wrong with you there. Get that checked out.
Yeah.
But it's
This is
just-
how I relax.
I think the real world is just like reality is so far removed from all this.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think it's a philosophy problem.
Yeah,
It's how you view
reality.
yourself in the world, and it's
yeah. Just get on with it, innit? You know what I mean? Just get on with it. Shut up and get on with it. Like, if you want to be a game developer, shut up. It doesn't matter how many books you've read, and it doesn't matter if you are a game developer, if you call yourself, if anyone else calls you, Matt. What does it matter? That's
Yeah.
the problem. So when these high-profile developers come out and say, "Hey, if that's you in the game developer canteen cooking up that cabbage for lunch, you're a game developer too, just like us.
yeah.
And we accept you." No, bollocks. You're a cook. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, and chances are that person probably wouldn't want that other person on their team when they have to launch a game in a week.
Yeah.
It's like, where's the game developer then in that person?
Yeah. How many of these, what would you call them, staff members of these companies that aren't directly involved in developing video games class themselves as game developers anyway?
Yeah.
If someone came up to me and said, "Hi, my name's Clive and I'm marketing assistant at Electronic Arts and I'm also considered a game developer because of it," I'd say, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, I'm in accounting and
Yeah. I've developed Assassin's Creed. What?
Baldur's Gate, World of Warcraft.
Yeah. Really? What did you do? Well, I did the end of month budgets and basically
Yeah.
made
Sometimes.
sure our taxes were in order. Okay. That's not really developing, but I wouldn't want to upset you.
Yeah, it's like, I think a good thing too, like a good marker for it too, is it's like, could you do this somewhere else that at a place
No.
where games aren't made? It's like, well, yeah. Well, it's like, well, then maybe you're whatever that is then.
Well, that's it. Like, I'd be worried if this sort of spread out to other industries. Do you know what I mean? Like, imagine going to the hospital because your arm's fallen, and someone comes up to you and says, "Hi, I'm a doctor." You say, "Oh yeah." Well, kind of, yeah. Well, what's your credentials? I used to work out the back. I used to move all the bins. But hey, I'm here. I'm a doctor. I'm like,
That is happening in the medical field, actually.
Probably.
Not the
Probably
doctor
does.
thing, but there a lot of people with the same sort of
yeah.
thought process an outlook on things, are calling themselves and everyone else in it medical care providers. So a doctor is the same as, the janitor at the hospital.
What is this?
But here's the thing too, is like nurses and nurse practitioners and techs and people like that. They don't like that term either. They don't like medical caregiver. They're like, no, we shouldn't,
It's dangerous.
I'm doing this. That guy's doing that. She's doing this over here. Like, it's just, why do you got to,
professional. Yeah. What do you need? A medical care professional. Why? What's wrong with you? And my arm's fallen off. Anyone a medical care professional? And it's like 80 people. Anyone? No, I only do cleaning equipment on a Thursday. All right. Okay. You're not much good.
Yeah. At a veterinary place.
It's just, exactly.
I take care of the horses when a horse comes in, and
And who feels good about this? This is the question. Who feels good that this is the future? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And ultimately, it's probably not a huge issue, but it's...
If you take this to its conclusion, that means everyone who is only be referred to as employee, regardless of job. They don't have any titles. Everyone's the same, just employee. Hi, what do you do? I'm an employee. What about you? I'm an employee.
Yeah.
Thanks for the
you know
conversation.
nothing about anybody.
Because everyone's the same.
Yeah.
Bananas, man.
We're all gray blobs together.
Yeah.
In one bigger gray blob.
Yeah.
There is no individual. There's only us. There's only it.
We are legion. Oh well. Hopefully, I won't be around to see that.
Yeah. See, that's the hope, isn't it? Is when shit hits the fan, we'll be dead.
But also, Tobor, we must appreciate that we do spend most of our lives in an online capacity. So this stuff is very loud, whilst being extremely unimportant.
Exactly. Yeah. Precisely.
To the vast majority of people. Yeah.
When you're wading through the battleground, that's Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and this is kind of all you see, you forget to fucking look out the window.
Yeah.
And be like, oh.
If you go next door and ask John next door, say, hello, John, how's it going, mate? Yeah, not too bad, me old son. Heard about Gake? Goodbye. And he'll just close the door and he'll go back to watching his soaps. We don't give a damn.
My heart just broke because most of that your mic cut out.
No!
Yeah, it sounded so good, too.
Not again. Not again. I think I know what it might be, actually, for anyone who's watching. Apologies if it's cutting out. My computer keeps going into screensaver every God knows how many minutes if I forget to press a button.
Oh, sorry, the flying toasters are up. Let me...
I'll have to stop that bloody computer. Well, anyway, I was just saying, if you was to ask John next door about all these... ridiculous things, they wouldn't have a clue what's going on.
Yeah, if I went downstairs into the office at my apartment complex and I asked the manager down there if she is a game developer, or she'd be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Are you here to pay rent? What's?
But these are important issues. To
are you
us,
okay? Do I need to call a medical care provider?
Oh no, not again! Last time I called one of those. He tried to give me an eye test at a broken foot.
Yeah, he tried to unclog my toilet. And there I am laying on the floor stroking out.
Yeah, these are important to us and the greater game development community and the gaming community.
Well, it's what we see all the time, and it's what we have an opinion on, because we're bound to have an opinion.
I would just love to say to all these people who are pushing all this stuff and just say, can you just calm down? You're getting hysterical. Just relax. I know, it's just games. It's just work. It's reality. Do you know what I mean?
It's not going to work, but that's a good try.
Huh?
It's not going to work, but that's a nice try. I like the...
Yeah. Come on. You know what I mean? Stop. You don't need to dye your hair. Relax. It's fine.
Yeah. Let's all be together and be different. And, well, maybe not together. We'll ignore each other. That's fine, too.
Yeah, exactly. Just relax.
Just go do your shit. Go... Yeah. Do your thing.
Oh, Tobor.
Windy.
Well, that's it, I think. That's everyone is a developer. There we go. So
let's all go develop something and get some medical care provided to us.
Yeah, there you go, ladies and gents. So I think that's probably it, isn't it?
Check us out on the Epic Game Store.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, check us out on Twitter and below, Patreon and all that. Same for Monsieur Tobor here.
Yeah, Windybeard Games on Twitter, Windybeard Games on Twitch, Windybeard Games on Patreon. You can play as Shigeru games. Lots of fun. Join the Egg Jam. Watch us on YouTube.
Yeah, on the YouTubes and the Twitches and all
Listen
that.
to us wherever we're going to put this. We still have to do that, too. We said we had to look at Podbean and all that crap.
Oh, yeah, and Apple Music, I've been told, is a good one. Apple Podcasting or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, check us out on tencent.gov.
That's a good one. Well done. Good. Very good. Very good. There you go. Let's. Well, let's call it a day then. Thank you all for tuning in to FlameCast episode 2. When are we doing the next one, Monsieur Tobor?
Next week.
Next week. Let's do it. All right.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. Well, from me, Windybeardgames, and from my good friend Tobor, thank you very much for tuning in. Goodbye.
Brought to you by Bluesbach.